Very happy to be here and speak on a topic which is very close to my heart, which is mobility and sustainable mobility. Let's take 10 seconds to do a quick thought experiment. Just sit back, close your eyes. Just imagine a scenario where a wicked wizard has come and waved his hand and said, "Let all the vehicles vanish." Situation where there is not a single car, single bus, single truck on the road. Just try to see how the world will look like when this evil thing happens. I'm sure it will be a very quiet world. Suddenly, supply chains will come to a stop. Hospitals won't be able to get their medicines. Farmers won't be able to bring their produce to the market, so it won't reach your kitchen. So it's very, very difficult to imagine a world where the vehicles aren't there. So today's topic of mobility is a very powerful force that has a tremendous impact on our lives. If we ask, is it truly sustainable the way it is today? Is it? How many of you think it is sustainable? Can you raise your hands? There are at least three big challenges that we need to address if we want to make this mobility truly sustainable. One is, of course, the tailpipe emission from these vehicles. Definitely, we don't want to see that happen. The second is all the accidents we see when the vehicles are able to go at good speeds on the highways. Is it something that we can avoid with the technology that we have today? The third is, of course, if you are in a city like Bangalore, you can relate to this, the traffic jams. Any time of the day, you have to navigate through these dense traffics. Unless we solve these three big challenges, it's very difficult to make mobility sustainable. And how close are we to realizing the situation where we can have mobility which is clean, which is safe, which is convenient? That's what sustainable mobility is all about. To do that, I'm going to take you through a quick journey where we will go through this in three parts. The first is to visualize this future mobility. The second is, of course, to imagine what it takes to be there. And the third is to actually get to action and innovate to make it work. So stay with me for the next few minutes as I take you through this very exciting journey. Friends, believe me, it is absolutely possible to visualize a future world where there will be zero emissions, zero accidents, and most interestingly, zero traffic jams. All three are achievable goals within our lifetime. And when we achieve these goals, mobility will become truly sustainable. So we are talking about zero emission, zero accidents, and zero traffic jams. Remember this. So what does it take to really reach there? The first and foremost thing is for us to imagine what this world would be in future, because that's what is going to motivate us to reach there. I can think of four possible scenarios for the future. The first is the sattva scenario, where things are very sattvic. A lot of us do the right things for the environment. Some of us walk, some of us cycle, some of us use vehicles with very clean fuels. We do all the right things for the environment. Some of us even reduce the amount of travel that we do, all the right things. That's a sattva scenario. Then we have the rajasa scenario, where it's a very dynamic scenario, where there is a lot of adoption of new technologies, and technology is able to overcome a lot of these challenges and make things very clean and very sustainable. Of course, there are two other scenarios. The third is a tamasa scenario, where we continue to do whatever we do. We don't take any action. We expect the problem it gets solved by itself. Somebody will solve the problem. And this is quite possible because many of us have stayed in this scenario for a long while. So it is scary. But the fourth one, which I don't even want to mention today in this August gathering, is the Vinasha, where things become really extreme because we haven't really done anything about making the mobility clean and sustainable. We get into such an extreme situation that it becomes irreversible. So ideally, we have the talent, we have the innovation power to avoid that fourth scenario, that's for sure. But between the other three scenarios, the sattva, the rajasa, and tamasa, looks like all these three are equiprobable. So a lot of it, what we really realize at the end of the day, is going to depend on what actions we take, what ideas we pursue, what innovative approaches that we take to overcome the challenges. A lot of it is in our hands. Now we are coming to the most important piece, which is what is it that we are going to do to innovate and realize this future mobility. Friends, it's been a myth that sustainability is expensive and can slow down the technology development. But really, in the context of mobility, sustainability has been a catalyst. It has accelerated the innovations happening in the space, and it is sustainability that has driven one of the biggest technology revolution in the mobility space, which is what you see here today. It's an electric car, it's a connected car, it's autonomous, and it is a shared vehicle. And today we are even talking about a software-driven vehicle. The whole technology revolution in the mobility space has actually been driven by sustainability. So this is a brilliant, brilliant space to be in because all these technologies that you see in this are helping the car to stay very intelligent and integrated with everything around it, be it the charging stations, the road infrastructure, toll gates, for whatever you see around the car, these technologies allow the car to be very intelligent and stay connected with everything around it. So mobility is no longer just limited to the vehicle, but is a complete ecosystem. And it allows innovators to work across the ecosystem and solve many, many interesting problems. So we are talking about a mobility ecosystem rather than just a whole new vehicle technology. So let me narrate a story for you before I take you further into a technology space. This goes back to the good old days of the kings, and this is a king in Kerala who was very fond of chess, and he used to have regular tournaments organized in his court. And one day a wise old man walks into the court and says, "Let's play a game of chess." And when the king inquires what is the reward that he would expect, the wise man says, "I just need a few grains of rice. Just give me one single grain for the first square of the chessboard, and then keep doubling it 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, and so on." So the king thinks maybe it's a few bags of rice, maybe 100 bags of rice. Even if it is 1,000 bags, they have enough. So let's go ahead and play the game. They play the game, and then when they have to actually give the wise man wins the game, so the king has to give the reward. That's when he realizes the actual amount of rice, when you keep on doubling these grains 64 times, it adds up to almost 2,000 times the global production of rice. Can you imagine? Just you started with a single grain, you kept doubling it. Now we ended up with a situation where you have to collect the rice grown across the globe, and you have to do it for 2,000 years to reward this wise man who played this chess with the king. So the king realizes this and then builds a temple, realizes that it's God himself who had come to play with him. And then that temple serves a kheer, a payasam made of rice, till today. And that's supposed to be one of the best kheers that you can get to taste anywhere in the world because the king owes so much rice. But the key takeaway from this is anything small, if you keep on doubling many, many times, it can lead you to unimaginably mind boggling big numbers. And that's what is happening in the technology space today. These are all the technologies that are going into building the new mobility, which is electric, connected, autonomous, shared, and software driven. And all these technologies are exponentially growing technologies. Some of them are growing, doubling every 18 months. Some of them are doubling in 12 months and 6 months. So you can imagine when such fast growing technologies are all converging in a product, what it can do. It can do things that we couldn't do in the past. That's one thing for sure. That's what makes these vehicles intelligent and also stay connected the entire ecosystem. So here we are in a space where technology makes it possible to do things that we thought it was never possible just a few years back. And all these technologies are exponentially growing. That's the best part of it. Just because we have this technology is growing so fast, can we just go ahead and do whatever we want? Not really. There are still certain constraints if we want to make sure that the product, the mobility product that we are building is truly sustainable. At least there are three major areas where we as a community of engineers and innovators should focus on. One is the materials, second is the manufacturing, and the third is how we energize these vehicles. Because let's talk about the materials. So we had the engine powered vehicle in the past. Now we are having electric vehicle. The battery stores the energy and the motor converts that energy to power on the wheels. The battery needs certain critical materials like lithium, cobalt, manganese, nickel, so on. And the electric motor needs a very strong magnet, which is made of rare earth materials. So all these materials are critical materials. So we need to come up with the right design and engineering so that we are wisely using these materials and we are not limited by the availability of these critical materials. Second is the way we make these vehicles, the manufacturing of these new gen vehicles is very different from how the vehicles have been made in the past. So we have to come up with ways in which we can not only make these vehicles with as minimum energy as possible, but also design them in a modular way so that they can be easily recycled and reused. That's the basis of the circular economy around mobility. And the third important factor which drives sustainability here is how are we energizing these vehicles? Are we using electricity that comes from clean energy sources in order to charge our EVs? Where does the electricity come from? And when it comes from where it is produced to our electric vehicle, is there a loss? How can we minimize the loss? So it's all about renewable sources, smart grids, whole bunch of things around energy generation, distribution, and ultimate delivery to the vehicle. So it becomes very important for us to keep all these three in mind, the material, the manufacturing, and also the energizing of these vehicles to make sure that even if it is an electric vehicle, we are doing the right things to make it absolutely sustainable. So I'm sure you would have heard about some of these materials being very scarce. That's why these are called critical materials, not evenly distributed across the planet. Some countries seems to have more of it and some countries seems to have less of it. So how do you mitigate the supply risk of these materials and make sure that this technology is very sustainable? Here's a picture. If you can recognize the three images, the extreme left is all about mining the deep sea for some of these minerals. And the center image is actually an asteroid, which is rich in many of these critical materials. And the third is something much more down to earth, which is recycling and reusing these materials. So, friends, we need to bring abundance into our thinking, not get limited by the not easy availability of these materials, but look at alternative resources and also responsible ways of using these materials so that we can get rid of these constraints and go ahead and actually build the technology. It becomes very important. Finally, when you're talking about this future mobility, which is absolutely clean, safe, convenient, this is going to be shaped not just by policies alone, this is going to be shaped by engineers like all of us here, especially engineers who can mix imagination and sustainability to drive our innovative ideas. It's entirely in our hands to build this future mobility. But what we know today is not sufficient for us to build this future mobility, we need a few additional skills to make this happen. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. All of us specialize in one particular domain. I studied physics and materials. Some of you would have studied mechanical engineering, some of you electrical or electronics engineering, whole bunch of domains in which we have gone deep and really become the best at that. But tomorrow's mobility needs breadth as much as the depth. So we need to build breadth, technical breadth, knowledge across many adjacent domains. That creates the foundation. That gives us a better chance of building this future mobility. So if you are a mechanical engineer, I encourage you to go and pick up elements of electrical, electronics, computer science, design, so many adjacent domains. That's what gives you the best chances of building this future mobility. Once you do this, this is a foundation. The next level is your ability to stay connected with the customers, understand their pain points, and use your technology to address those pain points. And what we need for that is an innovation mindset. The way we think, how easily we can think out of the box, at the same time, keep the constraints in mind and make our best ideas work within those constraints. Of course, on the top of the pyramid, you see learnability. Because the technology is growing so fast, even if we are the best experts, there will always be new things for us to learn. How quickly we can learn those and put it to practice is what is going to determine how quickly we can achieve this future sustainable mobility. So friends, build breadth, keep the customer in focus, have an innovative mindset, and most importantly, keep learning. With this, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve sustainable future. And I'm very glad that today I could share these thoughts with you. And I'm very confident that as a community of engineers, inventors, and innovators, we'll be able to build the future mobility, which is absolutely clean, safe, and convenient. Thank you.